you'll be labeled bigot, intolerant, this and that. Anyway, I've said what I had to say. He just called me right now, actually. Okay, I couldn't answer because we're getting ready for this. I would talk to him, and not sure how, alhamdulillah, from the brothers, I guess he got my number. It's okay. I appreciate the fact that he's trying to call me. We'll talk like man to man, and that's it. No problem. We'll see what happens.
Mufti Menk called you, right?
Yeah, just now. Yeah.
Teaching my children how to knit. I learned to knit when I was 6 years old, and I remember the moves: in, round, out, and off. In, round, out, and off. And now my kids are learning. I just got them a set of knitting needles and some huge wool, and we said, let's go for it, mashallah. Minky and Zinji can have a little blanket or two. And
say, okay, women, is this sexy for you? And the women are saying, my husband doesn't have the libido, the strength. Why? Because he's knitting, man. I want to ask the women, do you want your husband to do that? I want to ask the men, do you want you and your boys to do that? Our sheikhs are teaching us to knit. Okay, what's the objective of this video? Why do we not ride the horse or shoot the arrow or go for swimming or go for a run or some of the things that are in the sunnah of manhood? The Prophet is described as coming on a horse with no saddle with a sword around his neck. I'm using a little knitting thing.
I think most people watching this probably know who Mufti Menk and Ali DAWAH are. However, I think a lot of people are not familiar with Brother Gabriel, and therefore I think he might be getting a bad rap. For those of you who might think that, oh, he's just, some guy who refuted Mufti Menk or something like that. Look, this brother has been putting in work, giving da'wah for years and years. He's traveled the Muslim world working for different communities, and right now his main focus has been family counseling. It's been this topic of gender roles, of men, being masculine, women being feminine, and addressing the whole dynamics of men and women relationships in the family structure. So this is his field. This is what he's really been focusing on.
I lecture with Mufti all around the world. I've been working with Brother Gabriel, which many of you might not know, since 2011. So for more than 10 years, we've been working together. And like I said, I love both of them dearly. So is his response to Mufti justify what he was saying? And is knitting really that big of a deal? So, Brother Mufti, he's more of a soft-spoken, nice guy, comes off like this, has a huge impact on the people. He's doing a fantastic job, mashallah. Brother Gabe, he's trying to keep it real. He's coming at you a bit hard, a bit harsh. One of the questions that Brother Gabe is asking, what is your objective of making this video? He has an objective, and I understand where he's coming from. I don't agree that it was a good video. From the masculinity side, and also from the side that as a public figure. And to be fair, this is a serious problem that we are facing. And he's someone who has experience as a principal in Muslim schools, around the world. And you see that the identity, the manhood of these young boys who are growing up, it's been taken away from them because of what the media and the social media platforms have been brainwashing our children. Therefore, he felt that when someone of the status of Mufti Menk came out with something that doesn't support, being a man, being an alpha male, someone who's a proper rajul.
And just think about how many things you didn't know that we just talked about now, right? And I'll think about how much more there is that you probably don't know because you grew up in a society where they don't talk about these things and they're shunned. They shouldn't be shunned, because if they're shunned, then you won't have good intimacy, then your marriage breaks apart, then your family breaks apart, and the community breaks apart. It's not good. It starts here. And with that being said, may Allah bless you all and grant us good spouses and children who will be the coolness of our eyes and allow us to be leaders for the righteous people.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the T3M podcast. It's your host, Fayed, and we're joined with our two special guests, Brother Gabriel and Brother Greg. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa
rahmatullah
wa barakatuh.
So it was a miracle that we aligned our 3 time zones to get all of us on this call. Alhamdulillah, we got it to go. But there's a lot going on in this world today. We got some stuff going on with the President of the United States bombing the hell out of Syria. We got Mufti Menk, who apparently thinks chickens quack. But again, it is what it is. All due respect to him. Here's the thing. We live in a society today, and for people that don't really follow with what I'm saying, we'll get to it in a bit. We live in a society where, people want, to brainwash us and think that chickens do quack, right? And we also live in a society where chickens can now go through surgery to be able to quack. But the reality is chicken shouldn't quack. And as men, as Salafi, as Muslim men, we need to be apparent and overtly obvious that we are not ducks. But society wants us to be able to look like ducks and not be like ducks. Now, yeah,
you got to bring up the speed on this. What's this about? Chickens quacking? What's the story here?
I'm gonna let Gabriel go into this. All right. So that's the thing with the internet. He's right. We have this TikTok attention span. If somebody says something, even if it's someone like Brother Gabriel, who's just been doing positivity for the Muslim community, he gets canceled. He gets called out. I think it was a brother named Ali DAWAH who made a video response to him. Pretty big on TikTok and YouTube. So Brother Gabriel, I'll let you just go in with that.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu. Well, I mean, it's not that complicated, you know, it's just that, you know, there's some guys out there who are just not talking about the real things, the real issues. And I think this one just kind of drove me off the edge for a bit, because recently I've been dealing with a lot of kids who are turning gay, and you know, if you dig in deep as to why, either the fathers are not there, or they've been abused, or they're addicted to porn, or you know, they've been emasculinized from a very young age to believe that, you know, you can be a princess if you want, you can be this if you want, you can be whatever what you want, you know what I mean? So it's not just it's not a joke, it's not a challenge on YouTube or Facebook debate, or as people think, you know, being somehow maybe jealous of followers. SubhanAllah, so many things have been put out there, so many theories. This is about, bottom line is that the Muslim Ummah and humans in general are being attacked, and they are made weak, okay? And specifically, the ones that are really targeted are males, okay? And you can see it now. California put a law where you cannot separate toys by gender. You get fined 1,000. There's a new law right now that if you stop your children, if they want to take blockers for puberty, that you will get your children taken away by Children's Aid Society or whatever, you know, a social worker. I mean, where is the world going? Mattel came with, you know, this bi-gender dolls just recently. I posted about that. What is going on? What is going on? This is not, you know, conspiracy theory. This is a problem. So I work as a school principal. Thousands of kids run through me. Okay, I work also as an educational consultant, going around the Muslim schools and Muslim world. And I deal with families and children. And the families are complaining that their kids are losing themselves, their masculinity, the boys specific, sitting, getting chubby, playing games, no movement, and starting to do feminine things, you know, starting to do more and more feminine things. Sit down, shut up, just listen, play a game, be on your tablet, you know, eat some whatever food, and that's it. You know what I mean?
But for anyone that's kind of still not on speed, or, you know, the two of the brothers we got right here, Mufti Menk, who is, you know, a very well followed, you know, in the spotlight of Islam, Dawah, Da'i channels. And, you know, people look up to him. He makes good, heartfelt videos. He makes good reminders. I'm sure you guys are familiar with him. And he made a video a few weeks ago, or a few years ago, I believe, it was just in the past, about, you know, if my wife wants me to move left, I'm going to move left. I'm not going to, you know, ask why she wants me to move left. If she wants me to move right, when I'm sitting down, I'll move right. So what? It makes her happy. You know, I might, you know, so what? It makes me a chicken. You know, I might even quack, quack. And that's where the whole, you know, theme came from.
My wife were to phone me now and tell me, move to the left, I'd move to the left, even if there's no place. Out of love, that's it. So what? If that makes her happy, it makes her happy. You know, people might say this guy is a chicken. I don't mind being called a chicken. I'll even quack, quack for you a little bit, so long as she's happy. MashaAllah. Yeah, if that's what makes your marriage, let it be.
We all made a response video to that, saying that, okay, you know, all due respect, you know, we're not going to negate any of the work you've done for the Muslim Ummah, for the community. But these types of, you know, things, phrases that come out of your mouth, they will have repercussions.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu. This is your brother Gabriel Romani. So you saw the video by Mufti Menk. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him. You know, he's a good brother. He's doing a lot of good work, right? But I believe, again, that sometimes some of the things that he says are just not realistic. And they cause some issues amongst, especially when he speaks about marriage. I just think that he's just not
I don't know, it's just not his field, you know? He should stick to like encouragements and reminders for brothers and sisters, you know, about the deen. When it comes to marriage, I think this is causing problem. Like a video like this, oh, if my wife calls me, if she tells me to move left, I'm gonna move left. And if she wants me to, you know, call me a chicken. Like, come on, man, what has happened to masculinity? What has happened to manhood? What has happened where we used to be leaders? And women were happy because of that, because we are real men, not chickens. And chickens don't quack, by the way, you know? So, I mean, what is going on?
Right. And shaitan is not going to work, you know, directly. It's going to happen over generations, right? It's just like, you know, 30, 40 years ago, you would look at a guy with earrings and be like, okay, that's gay, right? Then slowly, you know, it started with one, then started with two. The whole thing is like, where do you draw the line? That's where Brother Gabriel is going to. And now, Mufti Menk, you know, all due respect to him, he made a video on Instagram about him knitting, right? And he's like, I used to learn when I was knitting when I was 6. I taught my kids how to knit. And that's it. The video got over 1 million views overnight, I believe. It went viral. Brother Gabriel then made a response video to that saying that, you know, like essentially what he was saying now, like, where do you draw the line, right? We live in a society today where you got a lot of men who are true Muslim men with integrity and value who say, I don't want to wear pink, right? I don't want to wear pink because it only goes one way. It only leads one direction. But you also got society telling you it's okay to wear pink because it doesn't make you gay. Yeah, I agree. Bro, wearing pink does not make you gay, but it only leads one direction. You get what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong inherently with wearing pink, but it's like, why would you not rather wear any of these other colors? And why are you now advocating wearing pink? Why are you having 2-3 million followers making videos wearing pink? That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from Gabriel. Now, all he did was make a video response to that. And you got Ali DAWAH, you got all these channels canceling him, calling him out, saying, and there's women that are in our comments too, because, you know, they somehow think that we're evil now. And they're writing stuff like, oh, what is this? Why does knitting make you feminine? You know, I want a man that can do basic life skills like cook, clean, knit. Here's the thing, bro. If men have been, you know, reduced today, so to be able to cook, clean, and knit as things that we got to do, subhanAllah, man, the times we live in. But before we get into that, I just wanted to give a quick, you know, shout out to Mufti Menk. You know, everything you do, 100%. But, you know, what we're going to, you know, kind of dissect and go over in this video is essentially the damage that could be done, right? And Brother Gabriel's actually in the front lines dealing with all these men and women, these boys and girls that are going through all these identity issues, these identity crises. And what you said, man, it's to someone that isn't caught up to speed with new laws and, you know, reformations, they might think that you're not 100% on what you're saying about the law, about the puberty blockers, but you're right, man. I saw it yesterday. It was, if you want to not go through puberty, this is for kids, because you are confused by this whole movement. You want to, you know, explore your sexuality, decide what you want to be. Well, we all know you could take puberty blockers, but if you as a parent today, you want to stop your kid from taking those drugs, which cause cancer, a lot of different other issues, suicide rates, we're not even going to get into that. If you want to stop your kid from doing that, the government can take your child away. This is 2021. This is, ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America, not, you know, some weird oppressive country.
But brother,
or should I say it is?
But you know why did it come to this level, to this point, bro? Is because people chickened out to speak against it when they could. They did not stop it. So what happens is when you step back, okay, all of you are into martial arts. When you step back, you know very well, you should never step back in a line. You always circle. So you can always keep going face to face, okay? You step back, your opponent's going to step forward till they catch you in a corner. Then they're going to pound you, okay? We're in a corner. We're getting pounded because we step back. Because people are scared. Why? Oh, I'll lose my followers. I'll lose my paycheck. I'll lose my job. I'll lose my family. I'll lose. Okay? And that's what I said in my video. Imagine if Imam Ahmed would have had that mentality. Okay, we would not have the correct aqidah right now. We would all believe that the Quran is created. That was one of my points, okay? We have reached this level into these weird laws, okay? And you, by the way, you can fight this intellectually without getting in trouble. You just got to use your brain a little bit, have some heart, okay? But you're going to step back. Guess what? These people are stepping forward. And when you look at these people, they look weak men. you know, and we got the muscles and the strength and this and that, and we're stepping back because it's not about, it's about heart. And they are getting more and more brave because we're getting weaker and weaker. So we're stepping back and back. They're stepping forth.
1000%. Let me get on Howard Craig's input on so far what you guys been hearing. Agree, disagree.
Oh man, there's a lot to unpack here.
Bismillah.
So I guess I get to be the panel bad guy. I'm gonna go ahead and be the bad guy. I'm not a fan of Mufti Menk at all. I haven't been for quite some time. On different issues that, you know, obviously could be debated, but we don't want to debate here. But in some matters of, like, you know, his statements on conversion from one religion to the other, and, you know, some of his statements on gender stuff has been quite questionable at best. So I don't want to go into details of that since we're not here to discuss that. So, but that said, I haven't been a fan for a while, and so a lot of his actions already are going to be dubious to me from that perspective alone. But yeah, knitting and his statements on, I think I actually did see this part where he said, I missed the quacking and the duck part, but like my wife says, move here, I'm going to move there just to make her happy and this, that, the other. And since, you know, alhamdulillah, our brother Gabriel covered it, you know, very well. I'm going to come from the relationship aspect. And it's just from a simple relationship aspect. This is what we call betatization by 1,000 cuts. So she gets you to do this, then she gets you to do that, then you do this, then you do this, this. And then eventually what's happening is your frame becomes her frame. And it's not supposed to be like that. The masculine frame has and will always be the dominant one and the one that women want the most. And so when you allow that transition to take place, well, you'll do anything to make her happy. And it's not bad to make your wife happy. This is not what I'm saying. But you do it from a masculine frame. You don't do it from a feminine one. And when you start doing these things, well, I'm going to move over here and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that because she says this. This is what women do. Women have pro-cooperative attributes. This is femininity. They cooperate with masculine frame. And then when you start just cooperating just to cooperate, well, it puts you in a feminine frame. And then what does she do? She automatically has no choice but to take a masculine frame. You become unattractive to her. It wrecks your marriage. It puts you in a bad position as a man. So make your wife happy, but do it from the masculine frame. And she likes that when you are a leader. It's not something that she likes and enjoys. You know, her husband's acting like, I say this all the time. You can't love your wife the way she loves you. Just imagine if your wife tried to act all masculine and manly and love you the way you love her. You'd be like, ew. I married a woman. I didn't want to marry some dude, you know, some masculine acting chick, you know, walking around the house all, your baby slaps you on the rear. You're like, what the? Hey, it's not something you want to experience as a husband. So what do you think is going to happen to her if you start acting in a feminine frame, in a feminine way? It's bad advice. You know, and if you're going to do that and it works for you, because there are exceptions to every relationship and every woman and every person, then fine, do that within the context and the scope of your relationship, but understand and have enough social acumen and a relationship acumen, because he is in a position where he's affecting millions upon millions of people. Have enough acumen and understanding to know that that is exclusive to your relationship. And it's not the general female consensus when it comes down to what they find attractive, which is masculinity. I don't care what anyone says. Women like masculine men. They will say, you know, and actually, before we even get into that, let me agree again with our brother, Gabriel, Barakallahu Feek. This is an ideology issue. And what I think a point that we actually missed was the hadith of the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, where he said that my ummah will follow the non-believers handspan by handspan, to the point that if one of them entered into a lizard's hole, you would have those from amongst my ummah who would do it. And now we see this happening in what seems like a very innocent and innocuous way. Oh, well, let's make the women happy like this and like this, like this. But that turns into a whole different world when it comes down to just like being agreeable. And we really, from a masculine perspective, agreeableness, it's not something that's there. I'm not saying we're conflictive, combative, you know, toxic masculinity and all that garbage they say. But really, agreeableness, again, is a feminine attribute. And then we have these situations like he's speaking about, where it's like gender blockers, this, that, the other. And this entire ideology of like just men becoming softer becomes okay. And you open literally a door that cannot be closed. And if it is closed, then it's closed through something horrid and horrible, like the collapse of a society that forces men to be masculine again. But then we don't want to see that, do we? because if we see the collapse of society, what's going to happen? It's going to be a terrible scene. And so really we're at that point where it's like, how do we come back from this? And we as Muslims, we're the forerunners of masculinity. It's in our sunnah, archery, sword fighting, horseback riding, you know, all of these things that men are supposed to be doing. Well, knitting, again, like the brother said, where's this fit in the scope of that? You know, I put up my videos on my YouTube channel. You can see me and my son, or excuse me, on my Instagram channel. My son and I have a boxing bag back there, and we fight, we slug it out, we train on the bags. And, you know, and I understand it's not permissible, but you know what? In the real world, people are going to punch my son in the face. We swing for the face. Do we hit? No, not often, but we swing. But what do? We teach head, just so people know we're not here busting each other in the face. We practice head movements and block, and we're not trying to knock teeth out. I'm not saying that makes it okay, but what I'm saying is we deal with the reality of the world of how we're going to face it as men. That's right. And it's just a real problem. I've been trying to get my daughter married since she was 17. She asked me about a husband since she was 17. She's 21. I can find men that can make money all day, but I can't find men that can make money and aren't like general slobs physically, you know, and that when I pass away, this guy's going to have, in terms of passing the torch of guardianship over to him, he could protect my family, which is my daughter. Because just because she gets married and I pass over the leadership to him, that doesn't mean she stops being my daughter. I still want to see her safe. And I'm going to give her to you, Ya Abdullah, Mr. 800 BMI. This guy who's producing more estrogen than her. No, this is not what we need to be showing men, because we see this is a real problem with Western Muslims. We have adopted the lifestyle of the West, both from ideology and diet. And so we find now that the men are actually becoming obese like the societies they live in. And all of this stuff affects your masculinity. We know for a fact that men who have high BMI in terms of fat, they produce lower testosterone to the point that your estrogen can overtake your testosterone. You don't think this has an effect on you? Of course. It's going to seem appealing to a guy learning how to knit if his BMI is too high. You know, he's going to look at the Menk video and be like, oh, yeah, wow, that looks, I'm sure my girl like that. Yeah, because you're thinking like a girl because your estrogen's too high. Masculinity, I've been lamenting the condition of masculinity amongst the women for quite some time, since I started looking for my daughter. And that's when it really hit me that like something's wrong. And from 17 to 21, she's 21 now. It's not that long, actually, but it just kind of hit me really starkly when I started looking around. And you know what? The top brothers that I found that were most appropriate for my daughter were actually in her age group at the time. So that makes them, you know, not responsible enough, but they were in my jiu-jitsu club. You know, we were doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I was like, wow, this kid's got it together. These kids have it together. They were learning the book and the sunnah. They were in combat sports, you know what I mean? And they had an intact masculinity from being in combat sports. Now, of course, our brother covered more than this, but I completely agree with him. And I told him too, we're in a group together, and I told our brother, Barakallahu feek, Jazakallah khair, I don't think you need to do that response video, bro. I think you said enough. I think what you said was correct, you know, and just stay at your ground, you know what I'm saying? Because people are going to come at you. And I warned the brothers here, you know, our brothers, the three Muslims. I think I advised you brothers that, you know, when you start getting into this business of like social media and whatnot, you know, and speaking, people are going to come at you just because you say stuff that's not really popular, but it's true. And the truth is never anything that people want to take. If it was, then the prophets and the messengers would have never been opposed in their lifetimes. But we know that when you speak the truth, that puts you on the path of the Anbiya. And that means you're hated. And that doesn't have to just apply to the book and the sunnah necessarily. You can just talk about masculinity. Right. And it's 100% correct. And people will hate you for it. And this is what, and I'm not saying people hate our brother Gabriel, but he's facing opposition for the truth. Why? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Get out there, show our brothers and our sisters what masculinity truly looks like. And maybe we're seeing a situation where the men don't know. And that's not an insult. That's not an attack, but maybe they don't know. So instead of like, you know, like, hey, you know what? Let me show you some drill combinations in terms of striking and kicking and whatnot. I'm going to show you knitting because that's all he knows. And I'm not attacking the brother, but I'm just saying maybe he doesn't know. That's my excuse for him. But that doesn't make it okay. That doesn't make it like, okay. I'm not saying it's not okay to learn knitting.
Yeah.
But in the 21st century, where we are surrounded by people who despise us just for being us, people who attack our women on the street, what are you going to do with knitting? Yeah, Abdurrahman. Your sister's getting attacked on the street for wearing a cap. My wife, she had to go shopping the other day, some dude started yelling at her on the street. We don't respect that out here. I was at work, unfortunately, so she was out by herself once. But I'm just saying, if I'm a random brother walking down the street and some dude starts yelling at my sister down there, I'm gonna whip out my needles and like knit furiously at him. What am I gonna do? Or can I run up on this guy and be like, hey, you know what? You need to stand down. If you don't, I'm gonna teach you a lesson or two here about respecting people, my sisters in specific. You can't run up on my people like that. Where in the scope of the picture of the world we live in today does that fit? It doesn't. And it's a problem, man. It's a real problem. And I'm not saying that's the only focus right there, fighting or whatever else, but it's just the general mentality of this entire, well, we got to bend the knee to women. No, we love our women. We love them. Allahu Akbar. It's no problem to say you love your woman. There's nothing non-masculine about loving your woman. But that doesn't mean we got to bend the knee and, you know, be just jelly in their palms and put them on pedestals. Because when you put someone on a pedestal, what happens? They have no choice but to look down on you. It's a terrible place to be in when the person you love and you look down on them, you're just like, this pathetic person. How did I end up here? And make there no doubt and let there be no question. I am in the relationship business. This is what a lot of Muslim men end up in, a position where the woman's looking at this guy and she's like disgusted by him because she's thinking, if a robber breaks in the house, I'm the one that's got to go downstairs and check it out. He's screaming, climbing out the window. You know, it's a mess.
Oh,
they're
knitting.
It's just bad, man. Brothers are lacking leadership skills. Well, let me teach you how to knit, baby. No, decide and make decisions and choices that encourage me to, you know, be able to put my trust in you. Because what would women crave more than anything else? A lot of guys will say money. No, it's security. Money is the path to security in their mind. They crave security, and that security is emotionally, physically, financially. It's in all things. And if she has no security in you, no faith in you, she feels no safety with you, what kind of relationship are you going to have? This is why we see so many people's relationships falling apart. This is why we see sisters creeping around the backs of their fathers, you know, and trying to find a wali. If I was in here knitting, I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't be mad if my daughter went and tried to find a husband on her own. And she didn't come to me and say, can you find me a husband? If I was standing in here knitting, I couldn't blame her. She'd be like, well, yeah, when I was looking for a man, you was in the corner there knitting. I came over and I was just like, hold up. This guy going to find me a husband? How you going to find me a husband? You over here knitting. Do you see what I mean? And I'm not insulting the brother. Have some skills, have some hobbies, but place it accordingly. You know, hey, you know what? I got a hobby and my hobby is knitting. But, you know, to make it a whole...
Yeah, you said it best, man. And it's not just brothers that are misled and, you know, kind of cheap to society, like you were saying. It's sisters too, because, you know, brothers don't know maybe what masculinity is, but sisters don't know either. And where are we going to learn from? Our sisters? Because sisters are going to be vulnerable to feminist propaganda and ideology, telling them that, oh, a real man does this, a real man does that. When it's like, come on, like, where are you going to draw the line, right? Yeah. And it's a perfect example to just show how society works and shaitan works, to Abu American's point, is this whole thing with the lockdown, right? They started with 1-2 weeks to flatten the curve. Then it's like another 2 weeks. And now you were a year plus in, right? Like, where do you draw the line? And now it's not so out there. It's not so left field that a couple months have gone by. We haven't left the house. But if somebody told us this 2019, we'd be like, you're crazy. We would never allow this. We would protest. We would do this. Yeah. The times we live in, right? Because shaitan works in stages. Oh no, you got something to say so far?
Dude, I got a lot to say, man. I got a lot to say. That was hilarious, by the way.
I know.
Talking
Sorry,
about
I couldn't hold myself.
Yeah, talking about knitting. Like, my guy, if you're gonna learn how to knit, at least learn how to fight too. So if you're on the street and then some guy's yelling at some Muslimah, bro, you could be knitting all you want, be like, hold my pins, and then you go over there and you do something about it, you know. But like, if all you know is how to knit, what are you gonna do with that? You feel me? And again, bro, like, I don't want to talk bad about this guy or any guy in general, because like, I mean, dude, if he wants to knit, by all means, bro, enjoy knitting. But it's like, man, you do realize like there are millions of people watching you, and like out of those millions, like a lot of them are dudes. And guys, like, it doesn't matter if you're 20 years old, 30, 40, 50. Like we still monkey see, monkey do. Like we observe and we take these things in. Like as a kid, we used to look at our fathers or our friends or the other men or other people in our surroundings, and we would learn through observation. So imagine you have all these people looking at Mufti Menk and he's talking about these things. And again, bro, there might not be anything inherently wrong with what he's saying in his situation, but for other people, that's where it becomes an issue, where it's like, all right, you have all these people watching you. It's like, you need to set the example. And you can't tell them, hey, you should start knitting. Knitting would be great for you. It's like, okay, maybe that might be a little side thing that might help, but it's like, you should tell them, hey, you should learn how to make more money. You should learn how to take care of yourself. You should learn how to defend yourself. You should learn how to build things out of nothing. Like go outside in nature and be able to like survive for a week with nothing. You know, like you knowing that, what could you do with that?
And bro, can I just jump in here real quick?
Go
I'm
ahead,
not gonna
bro.
take too much time, but I just want to say you made a very good point also that he's in front of millions of people, and you have to understand he's not only in front of Muslims, he's in front of non-Muslims. Since when do we want as Muslims to display an image of weakness or softness? What do you think a guy's gonna look at Muslims dudes knitting and stuff? Really, when we look at the situation, and may Allah grant paradise to our brothers and sisters who died in that attack where the guy came into the masjid and was shooting up people. Where was this in? Somewhere in New Zealand or something? Or
it was in
New Zealand?
Christchurch.
Yeah. Do you really think he had an image in his mind that these were strong people? Do you know what I mean? Under no circumstances, somehow in his mind, he thought, I can go in here easily and take these people out. Well, and people, this is a big problem, that Muslims are afraid to appear strong because, we might be seen as terrorists. Really? Okay, fine, and stay away from me. You know what I mean? You'll find out I'm not one, but I don't care if you have in your mind that I am dangerous. That's okay.
I'll tell you one thing, Abu American.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple masjids in the Bronx where the gangsters won't walk by that street, bro.
There you go. The
gangsters are not going to walk by those brothers, by those communities. The gangsters, bro, they're not going to walk by there, man.
Alhamdulillah.
The masajid. Okay?
It's a beautiful
Those
thing,
brothers
too.
clean up those neighborhoods. They cleaned up some of those neighborhoods. Yeah,
yeah, he made a good point. It's a beautiful point. You know, it's not only millions of people from amongst the Muslims looking at you, it's also the non-Muslims. And I'd like to portray an image of strength, because when I'm walking down the street, and I'll give you just a quick story, and I'll let the brother go back. I apologize. I didn't want to take too much time from him. But I was in Neuschwanstein down in Bavaria with my wife. We were walking up to that, famous castle. And this guy, I couldn't really hear what he said, but he started saying something to my wife, because my wife wears niqab all the time. And I don't have SAS. I don't have skinny arm syndrome, So I just said, hey, shut up and turn around. I said, keep walking. Got it on video to this day. I could post it online. The dude just closed his mouth, turned around, and kept on walking, head down. His wife was looking at him like, oh my. It's like, yeah, you got a big mouth when it talks to a woman, but when it comes to me,
Yeah.
Mr. Non-skinny arm syndrome, I'm not going to knit at you furiously. I'll come over there and throw you over this wall, homie. What are you doing? So we're in a wholly different world as Muslims, and I don't see the benefit to that right now.
Our sheikhas who are calling for women to stand up, to be powerful, to be strong, to be independent financially, to go to the gym, to take martial arts, whatnot, right? And now you got, they're slapping around their husbands, you know what I mean? And people are saying, you're joking, man. There's no such thing. No, there is. I have cases, okay, of women abusing men physically. All right. And people shouldn't be just dismissing things. Oh, who are you? Some guys are like, you need counseling. There's something, you're sick, you're a narcissist, you're this. It's easy to throw labels when you're sitting on your couch behind a screen. You're not working on the ground. You don't got, thousands of cases. You're not counseling. You don't got parents coming to your office, with their kids wanting to knit or sew or play ballet or, wear pink clothes or whatever the heck, you know what I mean? You don't have that. You don't have kids who are addicted to gay porn. You don't have Muslim sisters who are watching lesbian porn, you don't have these things. You don't have people who are committing zina. Maybe it comes here and there. Maybe some people, I'm not saying zero. I'm sure all of the da'is will have some people messaging them and they do some form of counseling. But at the same time, you know, to what extent and why not, why don't you talk about it then if you do, if you are exposed to this, if you're dealing with these things, okay? Have you looked at the curriculums of our schools, of our countries and where it's going now? Have you looked at these curriculum documents and see how they're changing things, what they're infiltrating inside, teaching kids as young as 4 or 5 that it doesn't matter. You're not a boy or a girl. You're just nothing. You know, you can decide later. You can be whatever you want. You can be Pocahontas if you want. You can be a chicken, a duck, or whatever. You know, it doesn't matter. Whatever suits you. I was just, commenting on, what was it, Walter? I cannot remember his name, but he was talking about how his grandma was making girls' clothes. She was knitting and sewing. She was sewing girls' clothes and how she got him into it and how she made him wear dresses and she thought it's cute. And many parents, subhanAllah, make this mistake sometimes that, you know, they have a boy and they're like, I wanted a girl, and they try to wear him, you know, to put little clothes on them, make him all cute and whatnot. You don't understand. You don't understand. That Walter says that this was abuse because a parent should tell their child at this age, this is wrong, even if they're curious, even if they have a curiosity. Curiosity can be sparked from anywhere. Even if you're curious, a parent is responsible to understand, especially a Muslim parent who knows, who believes in وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى, and the man is not like the woman, okay, to tell them, hey, this is not behavior. So there was this basically post by Mufti Menk, okay, about knitting, and it's not the only one. Okay, people think I picked on knitting. Oh, Brother Gabriel thinks knitting is haram. Where did I say knitting is haram? Nowhere. And Jazakumullah khair to the mashayikh who came in and, you know, gave me advice and then, you know, pointed out some things. So I said, brothers, I did not say it's haram. All I'm saying is that in today's concept is something feminine. And if people don't see that, then mashallah, okay, go ahead, start a knitting club. It's okay, no problem. All right. And people don't see it. They think it's just an attack. They see, I'm looking only at this. They don't understand what's happening, you know, what's happening with the cases and the issues and the problems and they don't understand. No, it's just he's just picking on someone. It's not picking on anyone. It is a war that's being waged. I was checking curriculum documents 10 years ago in the Muslim countries, and I was going and arguing with them, guys, we're not taking the right direction. Okay, and I was being warned and I was being, you know, pushed back and forth and whatnot. And the people don't understand. This is systematic. It's attacking us. And my only point was to Mufti Menk, brother, this is feminine. You have a huge following. You should be talking about things that are more masculine, you being a man. You want to teach knitting, get your wife to maybe teach your girls, and you can show her from the back, whatever she's wearing niqab, because he posted a sister with niqab right now with some book, you know, recommending some book. So it's okay. I think he's okay with that. And no issues. We're cool, you know. And then so that was just all that I was saying. There's other posts as well that I had issues with because I've been looking at these things and people are sending me things always. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I just had to say something. I said something before about the, you know, chicken or quacking like a duck and so on, because I felt that, you know, these kind of jokes, sometimes people think they're not so, you know, they're just innocent. But actually then when the husbands come to you and they're like, bro, my wife is like, you know, saying I should be like this. Why am I not like this? Why don't I give her the 411 when she calls me to tell her to give the full report? Just like that. And I should move if she says move. And I should quack if she says quack. Why? Well, because he does it. I want a husband like him. Why can't I be a husband like him? Okay. So these jokes and the men are sitting there putting their heads up, down and laughing. They're funny and whatnot, but there's a lot of reality behind that, you know, like, you know, the mother-in-law is the in-law and the father-in-law is the in-law, but the woman is the law, right? And ha, 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 everyone's laughing and ha, ha. Okay. All right, it's funny, yeah. But then when the cases come in and there's divorce issues and there's abuse issues, and, you know, the woman tells the man, you know, sit down and shut up and stuff like that. He loses his temper and this and that, and she slaps him and he punches her back and this and that. Teeth come missing and whatnot. People don't understand that. The things, you know, I'm not blaming him for this or anyone else, but people have, you know, they have to take their own responsibility. But there's directly and indirectly, there's a problem. So I just said that I think he could make, with all his followers, focus a bit more on these issues. Like, I just question, why doesn't he talk about Aqidah, which is a huge important thing? Muslims don't know who is Allah. How can you solve the problems of the world if you do not know who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? People say there's difference and this and that. All right, but everyone's responsible to find the truth. Everyone's responsible to look at the info. No, we want to be inclusive. Yeah, but inclusiveness is a non-Muslim term, is a term coined by the ones who are attacking this, who are saying that there shouldn't be no difference between truth and falsehood. That's what inclusiveness means. It's not about, issues of color. Why are people putting things under the umbrella of color, or on the umbrella of gender, or the umbrella of different social classes? No. This is bigger than that. No. This is about truth and falsehood. So why question? It's a question. I mean, it is a question. Why not? Why not talk about feminism? It's not an issue. Oh, it is a huge issue. Okay, I understand you don't want to talk about politics and stuff like that. That is quite. I think that I've said many times, and people are asking, why are you not talking about this and that? It's because there's so many people have no clue what they're talking about, get involved in this, okay? And, cause more trouble. And that's, it's a difference. But here we're talking about lives, you're talking about war, you're talking about killing when you get into, politics and what's happening in Syria, what's happening there and there. Okay, this needs special qualification, and not only from just, the deen perspective. Okay, so, but when you talk about feminism, when you talk about intellectual wars, wars of ideology, well, I think that's what we're doing here. You know what I mean? I think people need to talk about feminism, LGBTQ. Are we scared? And that's the issue. People, as Ali Dawah said, he could get in trouble if he does horsing and shooting. Really? Come on, man. I mean, okay, then it means we're having a problem. Are we scared? Are we doing something wrong? Like, we're not calling people to attack someone. I annoy myself with the amount of disclaimers I make. I understand we're in tough times, but so were the Muslims when the Mongols attacked. So was the Prophet ﷺ when the Quraysh were, killing, Ahl Yasir, and he has to walk by and see it. They made migration to Abyssinia. You name it, bro. When were we not in hard times? So was Lut alayhi salam, when he was pretty much, him and his family were the only one. Was he living in a Muslim country? No, he was within their environment, and still he said the truth. Now, I'm not saying give up wisdom. I'm not saying be just a loudmouth, just a loose trigger. No, what I'm saying is, why aren't we not? You are responsible, man. Like, people are responsible to talk about these important things, because people are confused. Those millions of people are following you. They're confused. They don't care about it. Islam has become a religion. Is that what we made it into? And as the Prophet ﷺ said, like, you think the numbers matter? You think that if your numbers increase or followers, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Mithlu zabadu bahrin." It's like the foam on the top of the sea. It does not matter. Umar Khattab says, "Nahnu qawman azza Allahu bil Islam. فَمَنْ يَبْتَغِي الْعِزَّةَ بِغَيْرِهِ أَذَلَّنَ اللَّهُ." We are a qawm of people who Allah gives izzah with Islam. Whoever seeks izzah with other than Islam, Allah will dishonor them. So I'm not picking personally, directly. I'm asking some questions. What was the objective, and so on and so forth. People got all mad and whatnot because of what? They didn't respond to my argument other than the knitting. Oh, you're saying knitting is haram? I'm not saying it is haram. I'm saying it's feminine. Oh, but Imam Ahmed knitted. Okay, one brother, mashallah, I respect him, he sent me this. It wasn't knitting, it was weaving. And that is on a machine usually, and it's for purpose of selling and buying, and if you have a trade or some, no problem. Even if you have to support your family, that's the only thing. I'm not talking about that. I was talking about how it's looking and what's representing it. That's it. And my question was, why don't we talk about more masculine things? Why don't we talk about more real things when you can make a huge impact? Because yes, the people are very, very confused, and they're getting more and more confused, and you see more and more of the da'is online. Yeah, this is haram, but we can work with them. This is haram, but it's okay for us to join hands with them. It is haram, but I will fight for their rights. Like, come on, man. To what point? Where are you going to stop? You think you might know the limit, but the people are asking you, who are looking at you, they might not know the limit. Okay. And not everyone's going to go back to you and ask you, hey, man, what do you think at this point? Is it allowed now? Or can I do this or that? In the back of the mind, just going to say, well, I remember that they said, we can. It's okay. And of course, if anyone says anything, you'll be labeled bigot, intolerant, this and that. Anyway, I've said what I had to say. He just called me right now, actually. Okay. I couldn't answer because we're getting ready for this. I would talk to him and, not sure how, alhamdulillah, from the brothers, I guess he got my number. It's okay. I appreciate the fact that he's trying to call me. We'll talk like men to men, and that's it. No problem. We'll see what happens.
Mufti Menk called you, right?
Yeah, just now. Yeah.
Okay, so
fine. I appreciate that. Jazakallah khair. But, I stand my ground. That's it. I mean, I'm not going to,
Yeah, that reminds me a lot of what Faraz Zahabi said. You guys know Faraz Zahabi? He's a dope guy. But anyways, he said that people don't know the reality of violence. Like, people watch an action movie and they think they know what violence is. They watch like these fighting movies or like these fights on TV and they think they know what it is, but it's like they've never actually experienced it firsthand. And it's like, bro, I just want to touch on something here, right? Gabriel said this one thing where he's like, a lot of people want to chime in and they want to say, well, you shouldn't be talking about this. You shouldn't be saying things in that manner. And he said, well, it's easy to say these things when you're not on the front lines. You're sitting back on your couch, just chilling. You have all the comfort in the world. And like, bro, I made a video talking about the whole situation with the Uyghurs. If I said that correctly, if I said incorrectly, that's on me. But this one dude chimed in and he was saying like, I think we should all just be loving and spread positivity and that we shouldn't, these people that are doing this, we should just, bro, I can't even recall everything, but it was in my opinion, it was stupid. And I told him sincerely, I was like, look, dude, like, I got love for you, but you sound like you don't know what the reality of violence is. Like, I'm not saying I'm over here being oppressed like them, but I was oppressed for a big part of my life. So, like, I know what it's like. I know what it's like to have that violence every single day. And it's like, dude, what you're saying right now, there's a disconnect. And, man, like, finishing this whole thing about the masculine traits, masculine hobbies, like, it's all right to be, how do I say this? I'm not going to say peaceful, but it's all right to be, let's say, approachable, right? Like, we'll say approachable because that's more fitting for a man. Because, like, you guys got to understand, like, as a man, we are savages. And we are animals. And, like, you push any man to the corner and the animal will come out. So it's like, if you have that animal inside of you, then you understand that you're just playing this game of like, okay, how can I hold this animal back to the best degree, but not suppress myself to where it's like, okay, well, now I'm being a cuck. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, dude, every guy has this innate feeling of like, okay, if someone is trying me, if someone is putting me down, like, I'm gonna fight back. Every man has that innate feeling. So if you have that innate feeling and like someone's putting you down and you decide, no, I'm going to push this down, I'm not going to fight back, I'm just going to take what they're giving me, you're doing a lot of harm. You're doing a lot of harm. And I think if someone is in that situation, and guys, I'm all over the place here, but I feel like there's a method to my madness right now.
And if I want to comment on,
if someone's in the situation like Brother Mufti Menk, where they have millions of dudes watching, Muslims and non-Muslims, like, you need to set the example. And like, bro, if him and I would ever talk, I would say the same thing. I mean, obviously he'll have his side of the story, and that's 100% fine. But I'm saying, like, I speak from my own personal experience. And it's like, dude, I set the example every single day for every single person I meet, every single person that, comes into contact with my videos, and for myself, most specifically, because, like, when no one's watching, obviously the creator is watching, but you yourself are watching yourself. And if you're acting weak, then you're basically showing yourself that you're weak. So, I mean, I could keep going here, but I'm gonna let one of y'all take it here.
Can I jump in there real quick? Again,
yeah.
And I always speak from a position of relationships because that's the thing I do. And from a relationship aspect, you made also another point. And there's a mechanism in women called hybristophilia. And hybristophilia is a mechanism within women that cause them to find a degree of attraction significant to men who are capable of violence. This is obviously relates to security and feeling protected. You know, it's nice that you can knit. It really is. There's no problem at its core with knitting. The issue is that whole, oh, it's cute and whatever else. It has to come from a position of strength. And we're not seeing that as a common trait amongst the Ummah today. Anything you do that's cute and lovey-dovey has to be done from a position of strength. So when, you know, even when they come and they say, oh, well, there's a hadith of the Messenger of Allah being like this and him being like that and him being gentle and kind. This was, yeah, we're talking about the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, and his Sahaba. Yes, they were gentle and kind to their wives, but you look at the context of the time. These were men that would also go out and run a man through with a spear and cut his head off, then come home with a bloody sword and shield and sit down and eat with his wife. That's amazing that this man is gentle and kind, because he, as a regular behavior, had to go out and slaughter and butcher men. And if you ever slaughtered an animal, if you've gone down and slaughtered a sheep, you know the first time you do it, it's not that simple. Yeah, you get that loose hand feeling, and it's just like, I'm going to cut this animal's throat. Now imagine going out there and know the people. These were men of strength. And so kindness and gentleness was amazing because all they had was a harsh environment. We get up, iPhones, Android, food, electricity, power. We're soft. We can get in our car and drive like a half a kilometer down the road to go shopping. These guys, mashallah, may Allah grant them all paradise. They walked or rode days to do basic, simple trading. These are not men who are like us. Do not make the comparison of the hadith of how these men responded. And I'm not saying don't be kind and gentle and ignore the hadith. We're in different times. And so, no, but do these things from a position of strength. Knit from a position of strength. Barakallahu feek, may Allah guide him to what is right and correct, both in ideology and action. But I do not see Mufti Menk coming from a position of strength. I ain't seen him out with some gloves on, slugging on that bag, like showing some solid combinations, like, yo, okay, mashallah, he's teaching the brothers some stuff.
Today he's posted a video of him skydiving after this discussion, you know. Mashallah. Yeah, mashallah. So okay, good. I said okay. Actually, and Ali Dawah mentioned that Ali Dawah mentioned that he slaughtered like in one day 50 cows or something like that. I don't know, mashallah. I said okay, no problem, man. That's good. But we don't see that. Oh, because it's you know, it's many people post things of slaughtering and whatnot. They don't have to show the blood gushing out or anything like that. My issue was with, I'm not saying he's not a man or anything like that. I'm just saying that portray in your posts that you are aware of what's going on and which side you're standing on. You know what I mean? What you're doing. Because a lot of boys and males are watching you and they're taking you as an example. So if you're showing them knitting, they're going to do knitting. If you show them horse riding or archery or skydiving, mashallah, alhamdulillah, I mean, they're going to try to do that. They're going to get that vibe. You know what I mean? So why not post? So Ali Dawah said again that it would get him in trouble. I don't know. I mean, this whole getting in trouble thing, I think it's kind of coming from a fear perspective, as Alba American says, right? From a weak perspective, right? You're showing weakness. You know, we're not terrorists. We're not calling for anyone to do anything. We're proper here talking about real stuff, man. And one of the things that I want to mention, subhanAllah, you know, the Prophet ﷺ, you know, he tells us the hadith, and a lot of people don't like this hadith and try to, you know, go back and forth, you know, and interpret it, misinterpret it. It's always associated to jihadis and this and that, you know, that bada wal islamu gharib wa sayaudu gharib fatuba lil ghuraba. You know, Islam started something strange and it will return as something strange. So give glad tidings to the strangers. Well, bottom line is, the ulama talk about this hadith a lot. Recently, you've had people totally talking offline about it. But anyway, when we look at the context of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why was he considered strange or a stranger? Because he was not going with the flow in his society. Okay, it was not about the numbers. That was the whole point. The culture and the flow in the society was something totally different, and he came up with something against it, be it on the level of aqidah and tawheed. Okay, that was the main thing. And then at the social level, with bearing the daughters, with inheritance, with you name it, the Prophet ﷺ was basically going the other way. And they've tried to do everything. Okay. Imam Muhammad Ghazali says in Fiqh al-Sirah, you know, that narrates the story about how the Quraysh approached Abu Talib and said, look, we'll make him the king. We'll make him whatever, you know, just give it up. And he says, no, I'll put the sun in my right hand, the moon in my left hand. I'm not going to give it up, you know. So, but today, we see a lot of the da'is and a lot of the people who are doing that, have a lot of followers, is, subhanAllah, everyone is agreeing with them. They're within this realm of being agreeable. Everyone's, even the non-Muslims are saying, you should be like this, subhanAllah. Don't you want to be like this guy? Oh, you guys are too extreme or too harsh. So essentially, they're not saying anything strange anymore. Right? You shouldn't tell the Christian that the Trinity is wrong. No, you're going to upset him. You shouldn't tell the Christian that, hey, if he's not accepting Islam, there's a good chance of going to hell. No. Now our brothers are coming up with all kinds of academic papers to show that, you know, maybe there's a difference of opinion, and, you know, no, some people will go to Jannah. You shouldn't tell LGBT that this is wrong, because you're going to upset them. You shouldn't, because everyone's going to get upset. Everyone, we have to be careful with everyone getting upset. But when these people talk about the message of Allah or Islam or this and that, no, brother, you know, let's not cause fitna right now. Let's not, no. They're attacking our masculinity. They're making, you know, feminism is smashing us. No, brother, you know, be careful. This is going to cause troubles, fitna. We don't need to. So what's going on? Everyone's going with the flow. You're not a stranger. Now, I'm not saying to be some lunatic or something like that, where everyone's like, what's wrong with this guy? I'm saying is that if you're going to speak the truth, this is the sunnah. He said, Islam started as something strange. It will come back as something strange. The thing is that I have with these brothers is that they're not saying something strange from the perspective of the 21st century global so-called society that accepts LGBTQT, that is changing the curriculum, that is teaching your 4-year-old that it's okay to have 2 dads and it's okay to have 2 moms. And you're not a boy or a girl. You can, you know, choose later. I don't know. Today I watched, they came up with a new term. I can't even pronounce some of these terms, you know. It's like there's a new term where the baby's born. He's not really a baby. It's like, I don't know, God, some weird name that they came up, you know. So they don't want to divulge the gender of the child. Like, and this is the normal, man. Like, so you're going with this. I don't want to talk about it. I don't agree, you know. I don't agree with it, but I'm not going to talk about it. But everyone else who's following you are going back to their daily lives, and they're being exposed to all this nonsense. And by us not talking about it and not highlighting it, well, I'm not saying you're saying it's halal, but to an extent, you're responsible, man. Mm-hmm. You are responsible. Islam is not bashiran wa nadhiran, okay? Bushra, you give glad tidings, but you warn. You know, what did the Prophet do? The first thing when the call became public, the first thing he says, I warn you, there's an army coming. If there's an army coming, would you believe me? They said, yes. I warn you of a punishment from Allah. I am the messenger of Allah. You have the obligation to follow me. He didn't say, oh, you know, brothers, it's okay, you know, let's love each other. I love you all for the sake of God. If you're Jewish, Christian, Muslim, whatever, atheist, it's okay. No, I'm sorry. That's not how it works, man. Because you saying, I love the people. I love everyone. Love what? You love the killer, the murderer, the abuser, the pedophile. Okay. Which is another big group that's coming up right now, following the LGBTQT. And they've learned, they got the blueprint of how to move up, the pedophiles. And slowly it's called love is love. Okay. Love is love, meaning doesn't matter. People are I don't know, man. People are in a different world, man. Where are they living? In a TikTok world or what? You know, it's come back to the ground. There's a huge battle that's being fought. If you're not willing to be a stranger and to stand your ground, and yes, you will lose certain things. As our American said, people come to you. you better stand your ground. And that's why knitting's not going to help you. If you want to train, you need to become strong. It's not about punching and stuff like that. It's mental resilience. It's about having that spirit to be able to. It's not that everyone's going to get the big muscles and whatnot, but sometimes you see just a little guy, but it's got heart. You know what I mean? He's going to be able to stand his ground. It's not just about combat. It's about that this war is way beyond the physical fight. It's intellectual. But if you don't have the guts, if you don't have the heart, if you're not willing to sacrifice your family, your salary, like all the Sahabas did, like all the Anbiya did, as Abu American said, look at their lives, man. Did they say something like, maybe the masjid board is going to fire me? Oh, I can't really. When I ask some of these brothers, bro, why don't you guys talk about this? You know what one brother says? He says, I'm a coward. He said, I'm scared of my wife. Wallahi, uqsim billah, I swear by Allah on this video that he's a sheikh, mashallah. He said, I'm a coward. I'm scared of my wife. Jeez. Others have said, no, we're gonna, the board is gonna fire us. Our paychecks, our families, we got to take care of our families. And he said, I understand. I'm not saying throw them under a bus, man. I'm not saying that. But if you're not willing to stand up and fight, where are we going to end up? Not recognizing ourselves anymore, man.
Bro,
that's two things. My bad. Let me chime in real quick. That's two things that are like super important for a man. Is number one, being able to stand your ground and speak your truth, no matter the situation, right? And then like number two, being willing to lose everything for what you are standing up for. It's like, my guy, a perfect example, me and Fayed and this other dude went to Iceland. Like, I'm very chilled out, very relaxed. But you know what? Like, if you push me, like I'll snap on a dime. Like I'll let that animal out real quick. We were at this one river where there was these big giant glaciers like floating down the river. Yeah. And like I'm over here grabbing like other pieces of ice and rocks and just throwing them at the other like glaciers, trying to hit them, bro, just having fun. And I'm just enjoying myself, being cool, being calm, collected. And Fayad's there, the other dude's there, the other dude joins me. And then I hit this one glacier, one of the little pieces of ice breaks off, and then this person in the crowd basically calls me an idiot and telling me to grow up. I literally turned around. I was like, who are you talking to? Like, who's an idiot? Bro, they all didn't know what to say, bro. And I have that on video, just like Abu American has the thing where he told that guy to be quiet on video. But the last thing that I want to say here is like, you have to be willing to lose everything. Because it's like, if you can't stand for that, then you don't stand for anything. You're going to fall for anything. It's like, you can't put up an excuse and like, I need to take care of my family. Okay, that's perfectly understandable. But you do understand by you saying, oh, well, I'm not going to speak my truth. I'm not going to stand my ground because I need to provide for my family. You're trying to play God here when it's like, dude, if you stand up and you stand your ground, even if you lose your job, like guaranteed Allah will provide you with whatever it is that you need.
No doubt, man. No doubt. I mean, it hurts me to say, I'm not trying to show off or anything like that. You guys are in non-Muslim countries, a lot of you, and I'm in a Muslim country. I'm working for an Islamic school. I am a school principal. Okay. I've been working as a principal for years. I got warning letters from my school because of my social media activity. Specifically now on this Mufti Menk issue, the owner of the school recently, had a huge debate with me, and parents are complaining. And I said, why? Give me why. Your kids are becoming gay, man. What are you complaining about? If you don't care, if you don't give a nothing about your kids, I will. I do. I care. They're my little brothers and sisters. If you don't care about your own kids, what a shame, man. If you don't see, bro, there's such a huge push here in Malaysia, Muslim country, on the LGBTQ. How many, I see again, Allah is my witness. Every day or second day, I see lesbian couples walking on the street. Apparent, clear, hijabi sister, bro, with boy cut little Asian looking like dude girl. And I ask my students about this. It's just they call him service boy or service girl. You know what I mean? Hijabi sisters, bro. It's a big thing. You know what I mean? They're kids. They don't care about it. I get warning letters, bro. When I did the polygyny series and the LGBTQ thing back about, it was in 2020 during the lockdown. God, like the board of directors gave me an official warning letter saying I'm causing fitna. Are you kidding me, bro? Are you kidding me? Muslim country. You know, and my last day now is April 1st for many different reasons, but whatever, man. Alhamdulillah for everything. You know what I mean? But what a joke, man. What a joke. Muslim school, Muslim country, Islamic school that says we're building future champions, Islam. Look at the mission and vision based on Quran and Sunnah. In the mission and vision based on Quran and Sunnah. Which Quran, bro? Which Sunnah? You know, and people are gonna be like, bro, why are you getting angry, bro? Why you know, it's your body language. You're too hot. Man, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ would get red, man. He would give the khutbah holding a sword in his hand sometimes. Which Quran? Which Sunnah we're talking about? What's this? Where is it? I mean, anyway, alhamdulillah.
I just want to say you made a good point.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind if I just jump in real quick. You made a good point. It's like if you're Dawah, especially for those public figures who are living in non-Muslim countries, if your Dawah doesn't differentiate or cause like some sort of like friction with the local society you're in, there's a problem. Because you are teaching people from a stance of Aqidah and Manhaj, there's no need to be different than the people in your surroundings. Well, we know that's not correct as Muslims. We are different than the people in our surroundings. They're non-Muslims, we're Muslims. We are different. And so why should they feel comfortable about that difference? Do we feel comfortable? I don't really feel comfortable walking around the non-Muslims in this sense. I go to work. It's illegal in Germany to drink beer and alcohol on the job. They're offering it to me. I'm like, no, I'm good, man. You know what I mean? It's uncomfortable for me out here. When it's Christmas time, they're like, oh, come to the Christmas party. It makes me uncomfortable. There should be something that differentiates us between them. You know what I mean? And that doesn't have to be comfortable. It doesn't have to be a confrontational conflict, but there is a difference. And Germans say, oh, well, Muslims don't belong in this environment. I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're probably right. Because you guys are disbelievers and you guys run this country. You're probably right. We probably shouldn't be here. They think this is going to harm me. And I'm like, no, it doesn't harm me. I agree with you. Why? I was just born out in these parts. I just grew up out here. So I'm just kind of here, guy. But do I want to be here? No, I want to be amongst the Muslims. So your dawah should be something that cause people to actually stop, listen to you, and think. If it's just like, oh, yeah, that sounds good. Well, okay, now where's your dawah to him? To him, he thinks your ideology and your ideology, them two, they see no difference. Oh, well, love, peace, and hair grease. We're all good. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're not. Because this iman, this la ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, this separates us. This is a barrier between us. And it can never be crossed unless one of us goes the other way. And may Allah protect us from going that way. They need to come this way. This is our duty to make them stop and think. And does it have to be uncomfortable? Yeah, absolutely. Because if you convert to Islam or you consider it or you think about Islam, it should be thinking, yeah, this is going to be an entire change to my entire life and the way I live. Well, I don't see that happening amongst a lot of these callers nowadays. What's the difference between them and us? Oh, well, if a guy wants to be a guy, a guy wants to be a girl or a girl wants to be a guy or whatever else, or we're not even speaking out against it because we're afraid of being canceled. There's a problem. And that's a huge problem from the ummah also. How are we as an ummah going to let our people get canceled? Well, that means you must somehow partially agree with the society around you. That means you're coming from a position of weakness. Why would you be scared? Why would you be scared if he's speaking the truth? Yeah, where's your spine? Put some spine in it. So this is something that applies to both the men and the women. And then the second point was, the focus on fighting isn't really that everything boils down to a physical conflict. Right. Obviously, that's a very unrefined way to go through life. You got a disagreement with the guy, punch him in the chin. No, this is not what we're saying. But what I'm saying is, when you get in the ring constantly, I don't care if it's jiu-jitsu, if you don't want to throw punches, you want to do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you want to do boxing, Muay Thai, whatever else. I'm the sparring partner for this state. I'm in the state of Saarland. I'm the sparring partner for all the state champions in their weight and age category. So I fight teenagers, I fight adults. I fight all weight categories. Let me tell you something. I love fighting and I'm good at it. But there is a sense of fear inside of me when I get in that ring with those guys,
No
even
doubt.
though I know I can hold my own and they're not going to just, use me as a punching bag. And what that does is it changes you internally. It changes you here. It changes your chest. It teaches you heart. And then when you know for a fact that you can defend yourself, everything else becomes just kind of minor. The fear of your boss, the fear of this, the fear of that, the fear of not being able to make it in the world. Believe it or not, fighting will give you all of that, because you know that, you know what, I can get in that ring and I can fight that dude that's like 3 weight classes bigger than me and has had like 80 fights. If I can go in there and stand up to him, what's my job? You're going to fire me? Really? Oh, okay. All right. And then what happens? You get fired, you find a new job anyway. So it's a matter of removing your fear and putting you in a new mental frame that puts you in a mental frame of strength. It puts you in a mental frame of power. And let me tell you something, it radiates from a person. And your wife notices that and she loves you for it. If you knit or you don't knit, she's not going to care. She's going to look at that dude. She's like, wow. Let me tell you, women love masculinity.
No doubt.
You don't have to worry about knitting and all that stuff. So let me just say that. So I just want to throw that in there, guys. Just like that.
Yo, so I work at a gym, right? And I've been working there for a while now. Now, I see exactly Abu American's point. He made a live stream and there was a question asked and he was like, he said it himself. I don't fear getting fired. I do my show and I leave. If I got to put a video out that says I got 3 wives, I'm not going to walk on eggshells thinking that what if I get fired the next day? I position my life in a way that I'm comfortable. Now, again, I'm a student. I'm not financially independent like Abu American, but I don't need my job, right? I like training clients at the gym. Now, I'm not going there and I'm not going to ask the owner of the gym to take my podcast and my LGBTQ episode and put it and promote it in the front banner. I'm not going to say that because I know that's going to get me fired. But I'm not going to shy away from it. If it comes to a point where somebody tells my boss, oh, look, this is what your employee is doing. This is what he stands up for. In 2020, he's talking about LGBT. If it gets to that and they don't take it the right way, call us, bro. I'm going to leave. I don't need that job. But until that point, you gotta play your cards right. I'm not going to promote my podcast to everyone there, but
why would you want to stay at a job as a Muslim if they're going to fire you over a stance on LGBTQ or whatever, the alphabet crew anyway? Imagine that. Did you be afraid of being fired from a job for your stance on that? As a Muslim, what's the truth and what's the falsehood? What you standing for? Well, let me be quiet about this falsehood because I might lose my job. Really? That's what this is how fast your line collapses? Really? What you going to do on the front line in a real battle? Oh my gosh, they got swords too. I thought you said they'd have rubber ducks. You gonna collapse there? Come on, guys. This where you make your stand at. This is the truth. You don't like it? Okay, fine. Well, you know what? You believe that stuff is okay. It's okay for you and your people in your society. It's not okay for me. I don't go around advocating violence or harm against anybody, but I believe personally this is not something I like. This is not something that's promoted in my religion, and this is not something I want for my family. And if that's a problem, you want to fire me over that, then you know what? This is my battle right here. This is my hill. Let's go ahead and go to war on it. Yep. You want to fire me? I'll go somewhere else where they have ethics, values, virtues, and morals that reflect the same that I do, or at least are close enough to it. Why would you want to stay at a job like that? Well, if you don't believe in this falsehood, we're going to fire you. Oh, are you going to stop at shirk? What's next?
Bro. The Islamic university I graduated from, I was in my last year. I don't know, I had to do some paperwork, and somehow I ended up on some of their policies, and it said there, we do not discriminate against sexual orientation. And I was like, what the heck is this? You know what I mean? What does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, why do we even have to say this? It's become now, that's the thing though. What's the standard? The standard is not truth. The standard is not, everything is this centered, that centered, this, but there's no God centered. There's no Allah centered system anymore. No one cares about that. It's a religion. You can have your religion, build 1,000 mosques, grow your beard, do whatever you want. Just don't practice Islam properly. Pick certain parts, okay, fight amongst each other, madhabs, this, that, go for it, no problem. But when it comes to actual full-fledged Islam, no, that's just not good there, We don't want that. We don't want God-centered. That's the thing. You got to make your choice. Are you going to be a stranger? Are you going to be going with the flow. What you're gonna do? You're gonna face challenges. You're gonna face people opposing you, your own family. That's when I tell the brothers, I say the first people that you get to fight you, subhanAllah, sometimes it's your own family, man. And that's what happened with the prophets, I mean, that's what happened with the prophets. Sometimes their families were opposing them. And I tell the brothers, most likely the first one who's going to tell you cannot do it, stop, give up this nonsense, will be your wife. And that's the reality, man. A lot of times, if you haven't picked her right, if you haven't vetted her properly, then she's going to be the first one that you're whipped in, by the way, anyway, because, you've been intimate with her, you love her, whatnot, who's going to be like, no, honey, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think you should do this. I don't think you should say this. I don't think you should do that, right? And then that's the thing. You ask the brothers, bro, let's do this. I got to check with my wife first. Wait, let me check with her. So I'm like, check what? You have to take permission? I just need to run it by her, and stuff. Like, that's the thing. Like, everything is going through that channel now. So, I don't know, man. Stand your ground, you know what I mean?
Actually, in first year university, I wasn't as, woke, red pilled, whatever you want to call it. I was kind of, just the product of society. And even then, bro, things that resonate with our fitra, with our inner guiding compass, that is the truth, right? Even though I was kind of blind, I asked one of my homeboys, I was like, you want to get food? And it was like a Friday night. And I remember very specifically that day, he paused and then he shrugged a bit. And I was like, I kind of knew he was a little like not at ease. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, are you down to go get food? He's like, I'm going to ask my girl and I'll get back to you. I was like, bro, what do you mean? Obviously I'm going to leave names out of this, bro. But he was that one couple, bro, in first year, 24/7. You see them together. PDA all over each other in public. This man was all over this chick. Just
100% they're not together anymore. They're not together anymore. 100%.
You didn't even let me get to the best part. I was going to say that. I was the only one that called it. They are not going to get together. My wife back then would tell me the same thing. No, they're going to be together. I'm rooting for them. I was like, no, they're not going to work out. And what do you know? They're not together. She left him for another guy while she was with him, and essentially would try to make that guy my male friend, right? Because we can have friends too. And essentially no guy's gonna be cool with that, but he didn't have a backbone or a spine, so he was like, okay, cool. And then it went from we're just friends to it just happened, and that's reality, man. This is reality. This is not we're not saying some fairy tale out here, right? So this is very clear. Now, the whole thing with LGBT, we're not gonna go and attack every gay guy we see, but we have different views. We don't need to shy away from it. Now, there's a way to do it. But we have to understand that society and the media is the enemy. It's against us, simply put. When you had that gay guy, when you had that guy, that Muslim guy, go into that gay club and shoot all those men in that gay club, first thing you see in the headline is Muslim shooter kills, opens fire in a gay club. But then nobody tells you, oh, that guy himself was gay and he had an affair with two of those guys or one of those guys in that club. They're not going to say that. What they are going to say is Muslim man this, right? Yeah. Exactly. So when we see something like LGBTQ society does this or something else that's the contra positive, we're not gonna promote that. We're not gonna share our views. How does that make sense? Why are we always gonna just submit to this whole ideology?
That's the thing. We're weak, and because of weakness, these guys are pushing and pushing. I believe we're in a corner right now. I don't know. I mean, as an ummah anyway, there are, alhamdulillah, individuals that are still standing their ground. But come on, in wherever you're gonna go, can you give a khutbah? This is the litmus test, okay? Can you give a khutbah in any masjid about LGBTQ? Is it allowed in Toronto? Is it allowed anywhere else to give a khutbah? But now they're bringing in trainers or whatever you want to call them, social workers, to train our community about acceptance, inclusiveness.
Use the terms and all that, yeah.
Right. The messages have to, I think it's by law now that there has to be some, even they have some, I believe there was a talk in Canada. I remember the brothers were saying that they will have to at some point hire a member of the LGBT community within the masjid board. That's being put as a law sooner or later.
California already passed that, man.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. You keep giving. You know, you give you give an inch, you take a foot, and so on, and keep going and keep going. So, look, just recently, we commemorated the martyrdom of Malcolm X, LIPHAM, right? And there's just so much you can learn from Malcolm X. But one thing, that man stood his ground. You know what I mean? And because he stood his ground, a lot of people understand what that did to the African American movement. And Abu American can jump on this as well. I'm coming from that community, mashallah. But these kind of people stood their ground. You know what I mean? And what they had to pay for it. And they didn't, when they're intimidated, when they're pushed, they didn't back down. Well, in the end, Allah will honor you, man. In the end, Allah will honor you. Even if the whole world dishonors you, in the end, Allah will honor you. You know what I mean? So
I mean, yeah, this is a fact. I mean, look at Malcolm X. Who remembers? It's like let's just go with an even better example. Imam Ahmed. Who remembers the people who imprisoned him?
Exactly.
We remember Imam Ahmed, right?
Exactly.
So it's the same thing, kind of like with Malcolm X. It's like, yeah, we have a general idea who was against them, but really, who are they? Yeah, exactly. Stand your ground for the truth, and Allah will give it. He'll put nur on you, on your name, on your face. People will make dua for you after you're dead. Inshallah.
As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Bal ahya wa inda rabbihim yurzaqun." Talking about the shuhada. And subhanallah, obviously we know the hadith that there are like green birds underneath the throne and so on, but in the end, they are alive to an extent. And we're mentioning them every day, talking about them, taking their example, discussions, movies, this, that, clips about these people. Subhanallah, you know what I mean? How many times do we say Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? How many times we talk about Umar Khattab, Khalid bin Walid, Malcolm X and others? Man, throughout the day, throughout the years, always mentioning these guys, subhanallah, and other people, you don't even know what's their name, you have no clue what happened to them, right? So subhanallah honors you when you stand your ground, subhanallah.
So that's why we all have to put it out there for other men to learn how to fight. And I'm not just talking about like physically fighting, but fighting is everything. You fight mentally, yes. You fight spiritually, you fight emotionally, you fight physically. Like everything in this world is a fight. Like in this dunya, it's all fighting, bro. And standing your ground is a huge equivalent of fighting. And what Abu American was saying about the combat sports, like you do combat sports, and then not everything else is pretty easy, isn't it?
It gives you clarity in a position where you are in physical fear. And when you put yourself in that position time after time after time in a ring of combat with another man who's trying to harm you, there comes a point where it's like, this is just another day. And so when you, like I said, that fear disappears because you're used to operating from a position of self-defense or aggression in a position that you feel uncomfortable in. It rewires you to be strength and power at all times.
Yeah, man. And then you get handled by this sparring partner.
That's right. If we look at the hadith Prophet Abu America mentioned, right? Teach your children, sibah, swimming, horse riding, archery, right? It's the sunnah, right? The Prophet said teach. It's like an order, pretty much, okay? And the Prophet sewed his clothes and mended his shoes. There's the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, But he didn't say, teach your kids that. I mean, it's a skill you can learn, knitting, whatever. Okay. But he told us, teach. Why? Because these activities that help you manage conflict in your life, be it intellectual, spiritual, physical conflict, all types of conflicts. This will give you the strength. You're exposed to the stimuli. You're exposed to that. So the more you expose yourself to the stimuli, the more they don't have the fear lessens, okay? Your body is more used to that. You react faster, you know what I mean? And life is about conflict as much as you want to negate it, deny it, because we live again in a, interestingly, subhanAllah, you keep talking about peace and this, yes, peace is the absence of conflict, no doubt. But the reality is that the world has not been at peace. One of the poets says that the only time the world was at peace when they reloaded their weapons. You know, if you look throughout the world and analyze what's been happening, there's always been conflict. That's not what we want necessarily, but that's just what happened. The Arabs and the ulama, the early ulama who wrote the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, actually the name that we'll use is ghazawat, battles. Okay, the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ was called ghazawat, battles. Okay, that's the way they labeled it for the longest time. Incidents in the Arabs were always labeled according to wars or main, things. That's why Amil Fil, the year of the elephant, is a conflict. Okay, when the Prophet ﷺ was born. Okay, they're not messing around. Is that they were just, let's just fight every day? Because people might think, they're gonna leave this this podcast and they're gonna think these guys are just wanna, beat the living days out of each other. Is how I make them punch everyone in the face and whatnot. That's what, like, with the TikTok attention span, sometimes I feel, I'm people keep saying, why you keep giving disclaimers, bro? Because people don't listen, man. People don't listen to what is the objective and the points that we're making. So we're not saying that, but man, combat is so important to understand, to develop, to be able to face the real life. And that's why people go on shootouts in schools, because they don't know how to handle differences in combat. Okay, these days, so many shootings in school in Western countries, right? People just make a list, go get a rifle, go shoot, do this. Now, we used to settle things behind the bleachers, back in the days in the park or whatever. Couple of punches, this and that, and that's it. You shake hands. Now the guy goes, gets a gun, gets a knife. I was just talking to a client just before this, and they're telling me about the stabbings in the UK, the Muslim community. And this client was saying that, it was like 4 a.m. Someone knocks on the door. They said, "Who is it?" He said, "Me." It's like the son, He's like, I was about to open the door and I look through the crack and I see 3 boys with knives. And these are Muslim boys. Like, I don't want to tell their ethnicity or whatever, right? It's crazy, bro. I mean, the world is in a different place, man. And we need to address this issue. Why? These boys don't know how to handle conflict. They don't know how to handle differences. They don't know how to handle issues. They just right away.
How to knit, though.
But subhanAllah, this is something that, the Sahaba all knew how to combat, except for there was only one Sahaba who was, mashallah, he was a warrior with his words, So, the poet of the Prophet ﷺ was a warrior with his words. He said, I cannot hold the sword. He said, I'm a coward, Other than that, I cannot. I wish someone would maybe, but I've looked, I cannot recall one Sahaba, as Abu Manikan said, who didn't know how to combat, who didn't engage, including the Prophet ﷺ. He actually took the life of one of the Quraysh, okay, with a spear. Okay, and that is recorded. As for others, might be others as well. Okay, there is not one Sahaba who did not know how to fight. Again, is this a podcast about fighting and beating each other? No, it's trying to put a point about that Muslims need strength. We are in a position of weakness. We need strength. We need men to be men. We need to return to the fitrah that the Prophet ﷺ told us that Allah created us on. That's why people have doubts about Islam, about hadith, about, maybe I think there's another interpretation, I think there's another opinion, because our fitrah is messed up. Fitrah is the recipient of revelation. If fitrah is messed up, you will not understand Quran and Sunnah. You're always going to be like, I don't understand this. Why does it say that? Maybe there's a different thing. Oh, I think this is too harsh. I think Sheikh and Sheikh saw this and this and that. Because, we're always starting from a position of doubt, always starting from a position of questioning, That's not how it is, man. That's not sami'na wa ta'ana. Why did the Sahaba say sami'na wa ta'ana? The Sahaba had messed up backgrounds, man, before Islam. If you study their lives, with the backgrounds that they're coming from, man, Allahu Akbar, how were they able to make such a fundamental change in their life? Why do the scholars highlight some of the attributes of the Quraysh, of the Arabs, of honor, of bravery? Right? They say before Islam, they used to have this, the honor, the bravery, the strength, and all that. So when Islam came, the only thing that they had to kind of mend was the issue of truth. What is the truth? And what is justice around that? So, and then they became, and that's what the Prophet said, خياركم في الجاهلية خياركم في الإسلام لو فهموا. The best amongst you in Jahiliyyah is the best in Islam if they understand. You know, right? And that's why the Sahaba, Khalid bin Walid, went towards Medina. You know, he was attacking the Prophet ﷺ, he was fighting, understood the truth, made 180, and just went and just turned himself the other way and started doing what he was doing best. And that's why he was called the sword of Allah. You know what I mean? Bani Makhzum, the best men, you know, the women of Bani Makhzum will never find a man like Khalid. You know what I mean? That's what the poets used to say. You know? This is there, you know, I mean, I get disappointed. I'm almost like want to cry, man, when I read the life of the Sahaba and the Prophet ﷺ, and when I see what we have today. You know what I mean? I don't know.
We have soft individuals today. And like, bro, that's the whole point of this whole thing that we're talking about. Is if we were putting in a nutshell, okay, we'll make it very simple, because like you said, people, they don't listen, and then when they do listen, they misinterpret. So real simple. If you're a man, go learn a combat art. Once you learn a combat art, you'll start getting handled in sparring sessions. You'll have to deal with all the pressure, all the fear, all the anxieties that you're going to feel. And then you'll get to the point where it's like, okay, well, now you're getting a little harder. And I'm not talking about, you know, sexually. I'm talking about like mentally, physically, spiritually. You're getting harder, bro. Where it's like something happens in your life, like you just lost your job.
It helps a lot.
Like,
it helps a lot with intimacy, bro. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, for this purpose sake, you know, we'll keep it in regards to life like this, right? So you lose your job, like one of you said, okay, whatever. Like it's nothing to you. You're going into this ring, you're learning this combat art, you're facing these fears on a day-to-day basis. You're basically sharpening your iron every single day to where it's like, that doesn't really affect you anymore. You are now hardened by that experience. And it's kind of like dudes taking cold showers, where it's like a cold shower sucks. Anyone will say a cold shower sucks. And then, bro, you go through that cold shower, you keep doing that, and then mentally it puts you in a place where you're like, okay, well, if I can handle a cold shower, then I can go out here and I can talk to people. You know what I mean? And it's like, bro, we as men nowadays are so weak. Even the top men are weak. Because, bro, like, I don't know about the Sahaba. I haven't looked into them that much. But if you look at the top tier athletes in this world, like I'm talking about the top of the top, like top combat athletes, football players, basketball, soccer, all these athletes, bro, they are a fraction of what the gladiators and the Spartans were. Now, like I said, I don't know the Sahaba, but I'm sure they are a fraction of the Sahaba as well. So, like, if you think that you are doing all right as a man, if you think you're doing all right as a man, just remind yourself that you're just a fraction of what these people were. And even the top athletes are still just a fraction. So that should let you know, hey, maybe I shouldn't be knitting. Maybe I should be learning something useful. Maybe I should be developing myself as a man, as a proper man. You know what I mean?
And if I got a couple million followers, if I do know how to do those things, why not promote that instead of the knitting?
No doubt.
And whatever happens,
People
happens.
don't.
Tell us. You got canceled, you get canceled.
People don't see an issue with masculinity today, and that's one of the problems we have. Is that people don't see that there's a problem with masculinity.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with me. You know, I have the genitalia, and then I've got the beard. I'm a man. That makes me masculine. You know, so and it's not really that simple. You know, it's not. It's an entire state of being, and there's an equilibrium in there. And again, we will repeat this: knitting is not the problem. Anybody who does combat sports and they do them intensely knows there's always a balance where there's an artistic side that comes out alongside that violence. As a man, there's nothing wrong with enjoying that violence. I've never met a man who's done combat sports and become proficient at them and hasn't loved it. But at some point, he starts to turn to something else. I noticed the non-Muslims here, they turn to music, they turn to this, they do to that. They produce something else. And so if you're knitting alongside with your combat, then that's the expression of that's the balance that comes out. You know, Allah put the mizan, he put a balance in everything. And so that anger and that whatever that comes out, or that raw inside of a man, I wrote a whole book about it called The Mad Monkey. And that's what it's called inside. like our brother was talking about, you know, he said, you know, he let that monster out inside. Yeah, that's that mad monkey. Every man has one inside, but there's something in you also that balances it out. And if it's knitting, then fine. But, you know, the brother went skydiving, mashallah. I'd like to see that, you know. You slaughtering 100 camels, put it on your private website. Let me see that, man. Because, you know, when I've had to slaughter animals, man, it was rough. Okay, later on it got better, but, you know, that's some masculine stuff right there. You know, it's not easy. These are things that, you know, they balance themselves out. So let's see it.
Alhamdulillah. Are we wrapping it up, guys, or what? What's going on?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I say we do wrap it up.
Yeah,
I was going to say one last thing.
Up here.
Yeah, well, what time is it right now? It's 10:48. Yeah, let's wrap it up. We said enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yo, real quick, what did you have to say, though?
Completely forgot, bro.
All right, then. I'm going to do Rami's part because Rami's not here.
Yep.
Statistically speaking, he's probably sleeping through it because it is pretty early. We have to wake up. I woke up at like 7 or 8. You know, just to make, you know, the time zones. And brother Abu American lives in Germany. We got brother Gabriel in Malaysia. I'm in Toronto. He's in Florida. But again, alhamdulillah, it worked out. Thank you to both of you brothers for coming in for this. Very important PSA. Jazakallahu khair. And inshallah, until next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You do this, and like your foreplay could literally consist of nothing but that. Y'all could not even have sex, and she will literally submit to you in every single way, even after the fact. And I speak that from experience, but for halal purposes, if you do that with your wife, you will see crazy things. And if you're a woman watching this, throw this over to your husband so he can learn the game.
If you're doing it properly and stuff, where she climaxes, even if it's just minor ones, multiple times before you even actually start, you know, having the real intercourse. And when you get to that point, you know you're doing it right.
What I wanted to add about this whole foreplay thing is that a woman has 3 stages of orgasm. Have an orgasm. Stage 1. Stage 2 is orgasm from penetration, or orgasm from your finger penetrating and hitting the G spot. That's like 3, 4, 5 times before penetrating. Like, you really don't have to go fast at all. Yeah. You could keep it super slow and just do exactly what Fayed was showing there. And like, you'll probably have her bust another few times before it's your time.
Yeah. If your aqidah, your beliefs, and your sex life are both in line, and they're both good, you're going to be fine. And that's the kind of the fundamental, the basis of it, right? In that connection, you have the actual, you know, emotional connection, which is the beliefs and everything being in line. You have the sexual connection, which is the intimacy being in line. Both are necessary. You need them. So focus on that, and just think about how many things you didn't know that we just talked about now, right? And I'll think about how much more there is that you probably don't know, because you grew up in a society where they don't talk about these things and they're shunned. They shouldn't be shunned, because if they're shunned, then you won't have good intimacy, then your marriage breaks apart, then your family breaks apart, and if all the families in community break apart, the community breaks apart. It's not good. It starts here. And with that being said, may Allah bless you all and grant us good spouses and children who will be the coolness of our eyes and allow us to be leaders for the righteous people.
To this day, like people who maybe they would consider in their definition that I'm their friend, like non-Muslims, because I'm just friendly. I you know, will talk to them, ask them how they're doing. I'll be concerned, like, oh, you're sick. Can I do anything to help you? I'll be their friend like that. But am I spending like quality time with them? Am I like going to tell them my most vulnerable things like I would with a close friend, like my BFF? No, like the thing is that the people who are really influencing you are your best friends, your closest inner circle. And you want to make sure that that close inner circle is good people, because those are the people that you could end up being resurrected with. Like in Yawm al-Qiyamah, when Allah is going to raise you, He's going to raise you with the people that you love. right? The people that you are so close to, that you love them, and you don't want to be raised if someone is bad, right? And you know that they're doing the wrong thing, they believe the wrong thing, like they're worshiping, you know, a man, or they're worshiping other gods. Like, you don't want your afterlife to be tied to that. So you have to be very practical. This is not a joke. Like, we only get one chance at life, and you don't know how long you're going to live. Tomorrow, you know, I might be gone in the next 10 minutes. You know, I might end this call with this, with you guys, and that's it. So I want to make sure that I'm not taking any chances with my akhirah, and your close friends and the people that you love in that way. That is a big factor. That is a huge, huge factor. So don't gamble with that.